Hey everyone, Summer here with AstariaSen, and my first fairy deck video that I put up, and some of you watched part of, messed up horribly in the middle, and so I have to re-record the whole thing. Because I live off grid, I don't have space even to have a desktop, so everything is saved on my phone. So a big upload, like an hour-long video, takes up a lot of space on my phone. So the minute I uploaded it, I deleted it. So my bad for not double checking. That's a lesson learned. Anyways, so I'm going to try again, and this time I'll see if I could do shorter than an hour, but I will also have a giveaway for 2 of the fairy decks that I have in my collection. It'll come at the end of this video. Just up front, I can't ship outside the US, so this is a US only giveaway, and I will pay for shipping. Anyways, I'm going to start off with indie fairy decks that I have, and tell you just a little bit. The fairy decks that I'm choosing are not fae decks. They are specific to fairy, which means I find them specific to fairies, not just dragons or gnomes or something like that. I specifically chose them as fairy decks. Doesn't mean they don't have gnomes or dragons in them, but to me they seem more like only fairy decks. I do have dragon decks, I do have gnome decks, etc., but I'm not adding them in this. So that's an upfront right there, okay? So there's 41 decks to get through. That's a lot of decks, okay? That is a lot of decks. So I'm going to start off with the indie decks. I will have links to the indie decks in the description if I can find them. And then I will just have a list of the rest of the decks. So you can look them up as you want to. Probably will not be in order list. It'll just be a list. So sorry about that. Anyways, so let's go ahead and get started. Most people know of the Fohaxa by MJ. It's my indie version. So I know that she is going mass market. I have been working with this deck all of February, and I'm doing this giveaway as my Channelversary because I just did 4 years on my channel in February. Anyways, so this indie deck is huge. That is huge for my hands. I wonder if the mass market is going to be a little bit smaller, but I actually really enjoy the artwork that's in it. I thought it was going to be a lot darker, and it is deep. It's not like nightmare dark, which some decks can be for me. So it is a deep deck. I enjoyed using it so far, and I find it goes really well with the rest of my fairies, and even when I do fairy oracles. So I've really enjoyed this deck by MJ. All right, up next is going to be the Ian Daniels Faerie Enchantment deck. It's an oracle, but it has like a mix of what is it? It's got some tarot aspects to it. I did a whole series of this on my channel, which you can go back in my fairy videos and find, because I do have a fairy playlist. And I talk about the guidebook, which, by the way, falls apart. So, I am so disappointed in the guidebook. It's not even funny. But I love his artwork. And it's got really special things going on with the cards. So you can't use them like a normal deck. They're probably good for 1-card pulls during the day. They're good for spell work. And the artwork in it is just absolutely enchanting and beautiful. And I adore it. It does have a little bit darker undertones. And the guidebook is really good. I mean, other than the fact that the guidebook is falling apart, I mean, other than that, the guidebook has some insanely cool things in it. And I did do a walkthrough on this deck too. So, I mean, you can go see the whole thing in all its very shining glory. But it's one of my favorites that I enjoy using. The next one, also an oracle. I got this off Etsy. It's Journey to the Heart. It's just a little tiny deck. It's got it's by, there it is. Lana Jane Pierce. Anyways, I'll leave a link. But the guidebook isn't a guidebook. It's just a little leaflet of descriptions, which is fine with me. Didn't bother me at all. I mean, it's an indie inspired deck, and it's like collage style fairy artwork, in a portrait way. And I thought it was so cute and so unique, and it's got the words that you can use down. I mean, this would be great for journaling, but they're also great for, they're good for a daily pull, or if you wanted to add it to a tarot reading. I haven't done that yet, but you could. But she has really pretty artwork, and I do believe she is still selling this deck on her Etsy. But it's super cute fairy art. Okay. There's just so much to go through. Okay, the next one I have, I do believe this is kind of out of print. You can still find it, and it didn't come with a box. It came in like this weird plastic wrap. I do know that this is a first printing, a first edition, back in 2003. It's Sasha St. John, but her website, it doesn't go to her website. It's not right. It's got a great guidebook that goes with it. It's The Gentle Wisdom of the Fairy Realms by Sasha St. John. It's got really light artwork. This is a well-loved deck, not by me, but whoever got it from. And the artwork is watercolor. It's done in watercolor. It's so light. Like in person, you can see all these really cool details that my camera is not picking up very well. But I really enjoy working with this deck as an oracle. It's very soft and kind of like a sweet deck. It's a very nice deck to use. And I actually do love watercolor art. I find it very pleasing. And it's not so in your face, which I kind of feel like is this deck too. It's not so in your face. All right, and the last one is the Forest Creatures Tarot. This is the bag that Rochelle with Amethyst Ascension made me for this deck. This is the mini version, which I did edge in a brown marker. It's one of the few deck modifications I will ever do, but it's just right for my hands, like seriously. I got this one. It's Taroka or something like that Studio, and the artwork in it it's digitalized, but it's very pretty. I actually really love this deck. It's so gorgeous. You can get the bigger version. I think it's like $70 for the bigger version, something like that. But again, I'll leave a link to it down in the description. It's just got so many great artworks. This is one of my favorite Three of Swords. Like, look at that. Look at how strong that is. Anyways, so that's all of my indie decks. Now I'm going to move on, and I'm going to start off with the oracle decks that I have that are all fairy. And some of them I have more than one of, and some of them are like by the same creator. So I'm going to start off with this one right here, the Celtic Spirit Oracle, which is one of the decks I am giving away. I have two of them. Don't ask me how I ended up buying two of them, but I did, so one of them is going for the giveaway. And this deck I found great to work with tarot. And I love the backs. It's not super shiny, it's just got a little bit of a gloss on it. It shuffles like so well, honestly, but I love the artwork in it. It's not, I guess you wouldn't call it necessarily traditional fairy art, but I do love it for its fairy art. So it is super, super sweet. Also, big deck. Oracles tend to be huge decks, which drives me crazy. All right. The next one that I have, and most people have in their collection, is the Brian Froud Fairies Oracle. I do not have the Heart of the Fairy, though. That is on my list. This is the backs. And his artwork, again, non-traditional fairy, but it's a mainstream for fairy art. So anybody who is really into fairy art, that's, you know, Brian Froud is a go-to. That's what it is. So he's done so many beautiful artworks and shows, and he does stunning work, and it's like more natural fae. And I feel really called to this deck if I do want to work with the fae on my land or in nature, not just, you know, a generic form, but in a specific way. But I have two of these decks. I'm not giving one of them away. One of them is my personal deck, and it's missing a card, and it was given to me by a friend, and one of them is one I just use in whatever. And then I have the little Forest Fae deck. This is such a cute fairy deck, honestly. I mean, it's fae, but it's fairy to me. And it's that more natural aspect, like in the Celtic one and like in the Brian Froud. The idea of using nature to create the fairies in it. And I really love that, honestly. Oh, this is one of my favorite cards, the Troll Fae. I just love this deck. It's such a small, easy to use deck. It's got the little sayings on it, and it's super cute for like an altar, like super cute for altar. And I love the backs. The backs are super cute. It is. It's a very shiny deck though. And then I have Mystical Times Empowerment cards by Jody Bergsma. These are, the borders are huge on them, honestly. They're pretty. The artwork is gorgeous. And I think the borders lend to the artwork because like the artwork comes off the edge of the border. And you have these cute little sayings on the bottom. Here's the back. I don't like the backs. But the artwork is stunning in this deck. And I haven't used it a lot. It's one of those decks that I do not pull out very often. It's a very bright, shiny deck, which is up my alley completely. But I haven't found anything that I really enjoy using it for yet. However, upon looking at it right now, I'm thinking it would be great for journaling. I think it would be great as a journaling deck. So I might try to do that. And I think I did a walkthrough on most of these decks in my playlists of walkthroughs or Faerie or something like that, tarot stuff. So you can find a lot of them there. And if I don't have it and you want a walkthrough, let me know and I will do a walkthrough. But you could probably find a walkthrough just about anywhere on a lot of these decks because they're older decks. Some of them are newer, like this one right here, which I just got from US Games, which is the Fairy Gems Oracle. It's super cute. Look at that chunky book. Okay, anyway, sorry. I already did a video on this one too, but just a quick like look through of the fairies that are in this deck. This deck is by the same artist, has the same artist as the Mystic Faerie Tarot, which I also have. And they are super cute. These are super shiny, whereas the Mystic Faerie Tarot is not. And I'll show you that deck too. But I already did a walkthrough on this deck, so I'm not going to go like overly in with it. It does have this gilded edging that is really cute too. So. Okay, get in there. Yeah. Me and deck boxes, I swear, I swear. Okay, next up is the Karen K Fairies Oracle, which a lot of people have seen. This is a super shiny deck. I actually really enjoy this for working on my altar. These are great for altar work, I feel. But it's digital art again, which is inspirational in that fairy realm. It's super glossy, which is not my favorite, as you know. But most fairy oracles, guess what? Are glossy, guys. And that's a downside to me. They're also very huge. But most people know the Karen K. If they collect fairy decks, they know the Karen K fairy deck. Oracle of the Fairies. Okay, up next is the Fairy Temple Oracle. I did a walkthrough on this one too. So these cards are great. I actually love the art on them. They're like a portrait style artwork. I don't like shuffling them. They don't shuffle well. Like you can see, they don't want to come apart very easily. They got this mat on them that's very obnoxious, but at least it makes it not shiny, which makes it easier for me to work with. But they, again, are huge cards. So, but these are so pretty. And they feel like more inclusive deck than a lot of the other ones. And I don't really care about inclusive, but for those people who do care about inclusive, this would be one of those ones I personally would consider as a more inclusive deck. So, but it's got really pretty art in it. Just stunning, stunning art. It's one of my favorites. What am I kidding? They're all my favorites. Okay, another one that I have is by Jody Mastrangelo. She has an actual other fairy deck that I want really badly, but it's out of print. And I saw this one when I went to Michigan to visit Rochelle. And I couldn't get it locally, but it's here. And I did not realize how much of a fairy deck this was until I started going through the cards. Again, shiny, but this gives off more of like a fairy tale feel to it. But I was pleasantly surprised as I continued my journey looking, and look at these they're like old-fashioned fairies, which I love that. I just love it. And it's so adorable. This deck feels like it would be a deck that would be great for like child work. And it's just so pretty. Okay, up next. And it's got that great enclosure here. Look at that. I love it. Okay, sorry. Up next is the Enchanted Oracle, and the artwork is Jessica Galbraith, and she does pretty art. I followed her as an artist for a while before I ever got into tarot, which was 4 years ago. But it's shiny, these cards fit really well, and they shuffle well too. They shuffle super well. But this is a lot darker of a deck than I would normally have. It reads a little bit darker too. So if you're going to use this deck, it'd probably be a good, more like shadowy deck, or go with maybe some deeper readings. But it's gorgeous. Her artwork, her fairy artwork. I have some of her figurines even. So yeah, super cute stuff. Well, I'm not sure hers is so much cutesy as just beautiful. Maybe that's what I should lead with. Beautiful instead of cutesy. I have a lot of cutesy decks, but I also have a lot of beautiful decks. Okay. Then I have the Sacred Forest Oracle, which is also a newer one. I do believe this got released in like 2022. It flows really well. Honestly, it does really well with that. And it shuffles well. Honestly, for an Oracle deck, I can actually hold it, which is nice. It's got a little bit of a shine to it, but not much. It's more matte. And this deck I've also used a lot on my altar, but it's really good. Like, I feel like it's a good seasonal deck. It feels very interested in seasons and working through seasons with you, which is fantastic. And the artwork is so pretty. I just fell in love with it. So, but I do like this deck a lot too. All right. We're moving into decks where I have multiples of that artist thing. This one is one of the ones that I don't have more than one of her Oracle decks. It's the Doreen Virtue version. I do have the Doreen Virtue Tarot deck, which you'll see, but this is the Healing with the Fairies Oracle. It's one of the few decks that I've had a hard time working with in the past. It's super shiny, and there are other Doreen Virtue Fairy decks that I do want. But her fairy art in here is so beautiful, so touching, and I don't think I could have a complete fairy collection without these cards, which I talked about in my previous video about underdog decks, I think. This was one of my underdog decks that just keeps going in and out of my collection, which is no more going in and out of my collection. Now it just exists in my collection. All right, so up next, I'm going to go with some Lucy Cavendish. Now, I'm not adding Amy Brown Lucy Cavendish ones. That's not what I'm doing, okay? But I am just doing Lucy Cavendish as the author of them on this part. So this one right here is Lucy Cavendish Fairy Whispers. This would be great for journaling, great for like affirmations, like daily affirmations, or if you just need like a pick-me-up. It's those kind of cards. It's not really the kind of deck. I mean, you could shuffle it, I suppose, and see what the Fae might want to tell you. That's totally doable with this deck, but it's really thin, really hard to shuffle, but I love the backs. I love the backs. This is one of those decks I'm not sure I will keep in my collection, but it's currently still in my collection. All right, the next Lucy Cavendish I have is the Foxfire Kitsune one. It's very red. I'm not a red person. It's very, very shiny. But it does shuffle fairly well. The artwork in it is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So vibrant. So pretty. And even though it has animals in it, I've been able to read with this deck. It hasn't been that hard. I haven't used it a whole lot, but I've used it enough to enjoy it and keep it in my collection. It's such a pretty, pretty deck. Like, look at that. Oh my gosh. Lucy always finds the greatest artists to do booklets for. Seriously. This one's my Lucy Cavendish, and I think my Selena Finch. Ugh. Again, super shiny deck. I actually have two of this deck too. Again, not one that I'm going to give away because I did a deck modification where I cut the border off, and I did not like it. I can't see as well as other people, so deck modification is really hard for me. But I do love the artwork, and I had to get another deck once I ruined it, so I got another deck, and now I use the ruined deck as journaling material. But Selena Finch has such beautiful fairies. Oh, this is one of my favorite cards. Okay. On to, who am I going to move on to? Let's go ahead and move on to Josephina Wall. So, Josephina Wall. this is the next deck I have 2 of that I am giving away. I have 2 of them. This one hasn't even been opened yet. I accidentally bought 2, so this is going in the giveaway. I will have 2 winners, by the way, just so you're aware. Not 1, 2. Josephine's artwork is amazing, and that's why it falls under fairy because of the way the art style is, even though not necessarily all of it has wings or traditional or even non-traditional. This would go beyond even non-traditional. This would be like non-traditional instead of in the darker fae realm like Froud has, to the more upper level bright shiny kind of fae that I would fall under, but it's not a normal in fairy decks, honestly. So that's why I chose Josephine Wall. Like, not all of them have fairies in them, but they all are fairies to me personally. So there is the Mystical Wisdom. Again, it's the second deck I'm giving away. And then I have Whispers of Healing. I do want her other one. There's one deck that I am missing of Josephine's that I plan to get. This one's really shiny and it's sideways, which bugs the crap out of me. Not all of the cards are sideways, but a good portion of them are, which frustrates me. But that doesn't change how pretty the artwork is, you know? So that's the backs. And the last one is the Gratitude Oracle for Josephine. This is my newer one that I got, and I actually really enjoy working with this one. I've done this one with like gratitude journaling, which has been fantastic. It's got more of a matte finish on it. And the artwork is so pretty. Look at that little guy right there. I don't know how I could have fairy decks and just not have these decks. That it just goes with any kind of fairy pretty much for me. I can't even explain that. It just does. It doesn't mean she doesn't have fairy specific in there, but she does. And it is very specific to me. So, yeah. So those are my Josephine Walls. Then I have Paulina Cassidy. I've got 2 of Paulina Cassidy's decks that I consider fairy. This is the Fairy Guidance Oracle. This one right here is absolutely amazing with tarot readings. Doesn't matter what kind of deck I use, they happen to go really well. They've got these little sayings at the bottom, and these would work really well for journaling as a source, a prompt to really play with. These are also very uplifting, very positive. These 2 decks that I have from Paulina are the 2 that I connect to the best. Honestly, I have like Joie de Vivre and I have her Paulina deck, but I don't connect to them as well. Pixiekins is so cute, by the way. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. And again, a little bit of the non-traditional fairies are in here. I consider it a fae deck. Let me see what I can find. So I consider it a fae deck this way. I know it doesn't seem like it, but it does to me. Let me see. She does have a few, like, look at that. That's just fairy to me. And that one. That one. That's just a different kind of fairy, which I still absolutely love. So these are great for daily pulls. Great for pick-me-ups. Great for kids, actually. I think it'd be great for kids, and it is. It's an inspirational deck. Okay, the next ones that I have are Amy Brown. So I have Amy Brown's first edition of the Fairy Wisdom Oracle and her second newer edition of the Fairy Wisdom Oracle. I did a side-by-side on this, which you can find in my thing. I'm not going to show you both decks. I will show you one of them, which is going to be the newer one because it's the easiest one to get into. Her fairies are absolutely stunning. She's been around for a long time as a fairy artist. She's done a lot of fairy work. And I even have some of her fairy figurines too. So I don't know. A fairy collection wouldn't be complete without Amy Brown. My all-time fairy artist doesn't actually do tarot and oracle, which is so unfortunate to me. So unfortunate. All right. Then I have Woo, stay standing. There we go. Okay, then I have these next two ones. Fairy Blessing cards are amazing cards. These cards are absolutely the best if you are looking for advice or trying to give somebody advice, somebody that's really down and out. The fairies in this deck, they're like a blessing to a reading, a blessing to a person, and they're like a little friend that goes with you, a little friend that goes on the journey of whatever tarot reading you are doing. And the book even is written so well and so uplifting that it's one of the decks, if I'm feeling really down, I will pull out one of these cards and just, you know, journal with it, put it on my altar, somewhere I can see it, and I mean, it's very inspirational. It's a very upbeat deck. It's not necessarily that it's like, oh my God, everything's wonderful kind of deck. It's more like, I'm your friend and I'm here for you deck. And then there's this one, which is a newer one, which is For the Love of Dragons. And even though it would fall under dragons, it also falls very heavily under fairy, which I did a walkthrough of this recently as well. And I even did like a kind of like side-by-side walkthrough where I showed all of the decks that I have that are Amy Brown, and if any of the artwork was the same. So you could see that if you want to. But it's totally fairy to me. So it's one of my fairy decks. This one and the Fairy Gems are my newest fairy decks from US Games. They're super, I really like how they feel because they're so easy. They're a lot easier for me to shuffle. Okay. Oh my gosh, guys. We are now done with oracles. Yay! So now we're going to move on to tarot. And I will see if I can do this as quickly as possible, okay? So my tarot decks. I have the Doreen Virtue, most people have seen, okay? And I'll just pull out a couple cards here. Most people have seen the Doreen Virtue Faerie Tarot cards. I love the backs of these cards. They're my favorite. She has digital art more than anything. And I don't like the borders. They're not my favorite, but they are great for reading still. I've read with them a couple of times. Not too much, just a couple of times because it's not one of my favorite decks, but I do have it in my collection. So there that is. This one is even gilded. I don't know if that makes a difference to anybody, but there we go. All right. Ouch. Then I found my Shadowscapes, guys. I finally found my Shadowscapes, and I do. These fall under fairy for me too. Stephanie does amazing artwork. The problem is that it's hard for me to see the artwork in the cards. There's so much going on, but her artwork is very fairy to me. Has a lot of fairy energy, a lot of that whimsical nature that I'm all about, and nature in general too. So it's like mixing whimsy and nature together. And I'm sorry that you can't really see these as well on my camera even, but they are gorgeous. They are very gorgeous in person. This is one of my first tarot decks. It's one of my favorite ones to read with. I could pick it up at any given time and just start reading with it. I love the guidebook that goes with it too, but it is a stunning deck. It's an absolutely stunning deck, but it has so much going on. It's got so much in the artwork for such little cards that it's very difficult for me personally to continually read with them. It strains my eyes quite a bit, but I do love them. I love them a lot. And these bags that I got are from another tarot tuber, but she no longer does these. She's on tarot on YouTube, but she doesn't she's not on here anymore, if that makes sense. Then this one is Tarot at the End of the Rainbow, and it falls in my fairy deck, or yeah, Tarot at the End of the Rainbow, and it's so pretty. Oh man, it is such a pretty deck, and I love the rainbows in it. Absolutely love. Absolutely love. But this is a newer deck too. Tarot at the End of the Rainbow. Yep, I was right. Okay. I think this one was released last year or the year before. I can't remember exactly. Okay. And then this one should come to no surprise to anybody that this would be in my collection and part of what I do. But this I have two of. Now, my doubles, I'm not counting my doubles in my 41 deck collection. I mean, if I counted the doubles too, that would be a lot more decks. But this is the Crystal Visions, and I put it very firmly in my fairy deck collection because it is a fairy deck to me. It's also a love deck. It's a sweet, soft, kind, caring deck, but the meaning is still, it's kind of like maybe like the sister or the aunt who's honest with you, but is kind about it. Does that make sense? Not necessarily that the readings themselves are soft. They aren't. But, I mean, they're real, but they're also that person that's just like, oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry this is happening to you, but you got to face reality kind of readings that it gives. And I put it firmly in my fairy deck collection. I love this bag, this tarot one, this tarot wrap. It's my favorite one. Hence why it's on my favorite deck. Okay, the next one that I have, and you will see a video of this box later, is the Faerie Tarot. And I finally got a box for it. I showed it in one of my previous videos that it doesn't like staying in a box. So this is a fairy deck. I'm not sure how it cannot be a fairy deck. It says the Faerie Tarot on it. But I have a hard time using it. It's not my favorite. I think it knows that too. The readings in it are not easy for me. They are hard, and they play a lot. This deck does, which I talked about in my other video, and I'm not going to talk about in this one because that's just going to make this a lot longer. But there's my favorite hermit card right there. Look at that thing. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Okay. Anyways, so now I have a box for it, so hopefully it will like this box, and I made it just for this deck. We'll find out if it likes being in there or not. Okay, up next is the Faerie Tarot. I haven't used this one a lot. I used it a couple of times when I first got it. It's got some great cards in it. The back's not a fan. Borders, again, not a fan. But this one's like a fairy deck mixed with like alien vibes. That reminds me of Ludo though. But it's got, I don't know, it's different. It definitely gives me more of an outer world. Not necessarily other, but outer world fairies, if that makes any sense at all. But I think this deck is super cute. It does give really good readings. And even just looking at it makes me want to kind of go back and read with it for a little while and see what I think of it now, because it's been a while since I've read with this deck, since I first got it. But it is cute. It is one of my cute fairy decks. Okay, and then this is one of the other decks I showed in my underdog deck videos. This is the Fairy Lights Tarot. And the Fae in this one are not normal Fae either. Like you can see some of the Fae, but there's a shimmering, a veil between these fairies. Some of them you can see clearly, and other ones you can't see clearly. And it's kind of done that way on purpose, because fairies vibrate at a different vibration than you can see. So if they want to be seen, they have to slow their vibration down in order to be seen. And you're kind of seeing this in between of that in this deck, the in-between of being seen and not seen, which is really cool in this deck. Also why I considered it kind of my underdog deck. But it's gorgeous. This deck is absolutely gorgeous. And it's not a traditional fairy deck. It's not, but it's a unique read. That's what it is. It's a very unique read. Another one that I have is this one right here. And this one is actually the Victorian Faerie Tarot, but it is in Russian. So I do have it, but it is in Russian, and I will be doing modifications to change it to English down there. But it is so pretty. I cannot wait to actually start using this deck. And I haven't been using it because it's been in Russian, but I decided I'm going to stop standing in my own way because I don't need to. The Victorian Faerie Tarot is too pretty, too sweet, too amazing to not work with. Why do I have it in my collection if I don't ever, ever, ever want to even pull it out? And it being in Russian made that hard for me, so I'm just not going to let that stand in my way. I'm just not. Which I just learned recently, that I didn't want to stand in my own way like that. Okay, The next one I have is the Chrysalis Tarot, which feels more Thoth based than RWS. But it's the only one I have like it. This is a Faerie Tarot for me. It does have a lot of imagery in it that is interesting and unique. It's like 8 of stones, you know, and so some of the stuff is changed in it, but it firmly falls into Faerie for me. I wonder if I could find... There is a really gorgeous Faerie in this. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Not that any of this is quick, right? It just doesn't work out that way. It never, ever, ever does. But I do believe I did a walkthrough of this one too. And I'm not going to find it off the bat. Of course not. But it is a cute fairy deck. Real readings. The readings that are in this are a little bit... There it is. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay. But the readings in this one are pretty deep, actually. I would do journal reading with this one. It might be great to read with other people, too. I haven't really tried it with other people, though. Alright, the next one I have is the Tarot of the She, which I also talked about in an underdog deck capacity. This is not a deck I enjoy working with a lot. I don't like the shine, but it's a lot darker of a deck than what I normally do, and the She is a different kind of fairy too. So Emily Carding does this. I did her book, her fairy book, her fairy craft book, and these cards go really well with that book if you plan on doing it. It's great for meditation, which, you know, she created the art and she created the book, so of course they're going to go well. But I have a lot of visceral responses to these cards, which makes it harder for me to work with. But that's the Tarot of the She. Okay, we're coming up on the last of them. It's the last of them that is coming up. Ugh. Let's see if I can pull all of them over real quick. Oh man, it's the last of them. How crazy is this? Okay, so up next, there's 3 left, guys. Just 3 that I can see left. Yeah, 3 left. This one is Faerie Tarot, but down on the spelling is different. This is the back of the cards. This is an older deck too. I do believe you can still get it. I don't think it's out of print, but the fairy art is very artistic. It's very bold, it's very stunning, it's very kind of in-your-face kind of artwork, but the readings are nice. The readings in this deck are pleasant readings. I've enjoyed the readings that this deck has given me. I don't remember if I did a walkthrough of this deck. I think I might have on my channel, so you can look at my fairy, oh my gosh, playlist or my tarot playlist. I've got a tarot walkthrough review playlist too that I put all of them in. All right, okay. The next one is the Hidden Realms, which most people have in their fairy collection. This is a deeper, darker deck too. This one's one of those ones you literally walk into. This is a deep deck. It's a deep dive. If you really want to connect heavily with the Fae or some kind of fairy energy or Fae stuff within yourself or journaling or whatever, this would be your deck. This is the deck to do it with. It has a very different feel to it, personally. Heavy, actually, is what I get. And the meanings are deep. And you do get reactions out of this deck. I think I did a walkthrough on this one too. If not, there are plenty of people who did walkthroughs on this. This is not a newer deck. And the Hidden Realms is just, it's like walking right into the other world, kind of. And that book even talks about walking into each card individually to get to know them. All right, the very last deck is the Mystic Faerie Tarot. Woo woo. And then we're going to talk about the giveaway. Okay, so the Mystic Faerie Tarot is unique because each suit has its own story. So it's not traditionally, I mean, it is RWS based, but the author gave each suit its own story, which is amazing. And I love this deck. This deck works really well for work-related readings, actually, or opportunity-related readings. I have found this deck is amazing for that. And of course, the artwork is stunning. Yeah, so there's that. Now, to the giveaway. So if you want to enter the giveaway, which is US based, I'm going to pick 2 winners. It'll be one of each deck. You know, somebody will win the mystical one and somebody's going to win the Celtic one. And all you have to do is let me know you want to enter below. Okay, that's it. Just tell me you want to enter below. So I hope you enjoyed this. This is shorter than an hour, so yay me. I did a good job. I managed to make it a lot shorter, almost 30 minutes shorter. So yes, so if you would like to enter the giveaway, just tell me in the comments below that you would like to enter. The giveaway is going to end, the deadline is March 15th. Okay, and then I will choose a winner after March 15th. So you've got plenty of time to enter. And it gives people plenty of time to watch the video and enter if they want to. Again, US only. I will pay shipping. And I hope you guys enjoyed this so much. I enjoyed showing you my whole collection of fairy decks. So you guys have a very great day, and let me know which one's your favorite. Do you have any of them? Do you want any of them? And if you want to do your own fairy deck collection, I would love to see it. Seriously. Have a great day.